Joining us for more is Jonathan Liedl from the National Catholic Register. Jonathan, thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be with you.
So Leo has been Pope now for a little more than 4 months. What did he say about how he understands his new role?
Well, Pope Leo, he didn't mince words. He said that his job is not to solve all the world's problems, but it is to preach the gospel. He said the number one responsibility of the Pope is to confirm people in their faith, not to get involved in partisan politics or anything like that. Although he did add that the church needs to continue to bring those gospel values to bear on cultural and societal questions, especially an emphasis on the human indignity given by God to every single person.
Certainly an interview that many people have been waiting to hear more about. He also addressed some of the hot button issues in the church, including the so-called LGBTQ issues and outreach. What did he have to say on this topic?
Well, Pope Leo gave a kind of a both and answer here. He underscored that all people are welcome in the church, but at the same time, he said he has no intention of pushing to change the church's teaching on sexuality and marriage. He even suggested that this issue can be extremely polarizing. So it's not something that he really wants to kind of emphasize or push forward. Pope Leo added that in the West, he thinks there can often be a preoccupation with sexuality as kind of the primary foundation of someone's identity. And he said that when he invites people into the church, it isn't because they're this sexual identity or that identity, but because it's that the fact that they are sons or daughters of God. So that was his emphasis on welcoming people, but not necessarily shaking anything up with any new doctrinal shifts.
Now, a lot of topics were discussed. The Pope also addressed his approach to the conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza. Did anything jump out there?
Yeah, I think what was really interesting was the different way that Pope Leo talked about these two conflicts. When he was talking about the war between Russia and Ukraine, he emphasized that the Vatican will continue to push for peace, will continue to maintain neutrality, and said that there were good actors on both sides of that division. Now, when he talked about Gaza and Israel's campaign in Gaza, there was a different tone. Pope Leo brought up himself the fact that a number of people have raised concerns about a genocide possibly in that campaign, but he didn't use that term himself. But still, of course, calling for peace and calling for the different parties to come to the table.
Now, another issue that did come up, this was the traditional Latin Mass. Now, this, of course, was something that Pope Francis heavily restricted. Did Leo indicate any shifts in his approach?
Well, Pope Leo did bring up many of the concerns that Francis had expressed that led to him restricting the traditional Latin Mass, especially the concern that sometimes this liturgy can be used almost as a platform for political or ideological motives. Now, at the same time, though, there certainly was a shift in how Pope Leo talked about this topic. For instance, he said, he underscored actually that a lot of people are drawn to the traditional Latin Mass precisely because there are abuses or misapplications in the liturgy that came after Vatican II. And he said, although he doesn't know which way he's going to go on this topic in terms of giving more access or keeping the status quo with regards to the TLM, he said that he does have plans to sit down and talk with those who are attached to it and hear their concerns. So it's definitely something that there does seem to be an opening there in a way that we didn't see under Francis, and we'll just have to wait and see if any bigger shifts follow.
Well, just the beginning of hopefully, which will be more interviews with the new pontiff. Jonathan Liedl, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.